Hi everyone, I'm Andrew, this is Mike, I'll stay away from the speaker. Okay, so we're from Warwickshire College and we're here to talk to you about being a game designer and what you can expect in that career. Hopefully you're all interested in games, else you wouldn't be here. But let's just familiarise ourselves first with some facts about the games industry. Angry Birds, I'm sure you all know, it's had over 2 billion downloads. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out a couple of months ago, was the most successful media product ever. Bigger than any film, book, TV program, music, anything. It is the biggest media product of all time. 72% of households now have video games in them, and the industry earns more money every year than the music, books, and film industry. Okay, so the industry's a lot bigger than you might think it is.
So we put together this presentation. So we're going to start by going around and seeing what people think a game designer is. First off, obviously they should be great at playing games. Adding on to that, they should also be a computer genius. Of course they should. They're video game designers. They have to be geniuses on computers. Moving on. Weapons experts. If they're designing those games, they've got to have all those weapons. Surely they must know all about those weapons. They've got to be weapons experts, right? Maybe. Story writers. Surely it's the game designer's job to write the story for all the games. So, carry on. What else have we got? Amazing reactions. Surely they've played more games than anybody else because they're game designers. Ideas people, of course. They're the ones who come up with all the ideas. It's all about the game designer. They think of everything. And they're visionaries. So they obviously look at what is it going to look like, what sort of graphics are we going to use, what sort of style are we going to use. That's all down to the game designer, surely.
Okay, so if you think that is what a game designer is about, and the sort of skills that a game designer needs to have, just put up your hand, please. Do we take him?
We've got our lad. Come over here, fella. Yeah, come round.
Okay, so you lot think then that there must be other skills involved with being a games designer. Okay, so what sort of thing, let's get some ideas. What other skills do you think you need to be able to be a game designer? Hand up if you've got one. Who said something over there? Someone's got a suggestion. What do you think you need to be good at to be a game designer? Thank you, Kate. Okay, let's turn this on its head then. We looked at what we think game designers need to be. Now I want to talk about librarians. Now librarians, you might think, what on earth am I talking about? Why am I going on about librarians? But let's just look at what we think librarians are like. Okay, we think librarians are highly organized people. We think they're great at English. That's a given. They're librarians. They've got to be effective communicators. They work with a lot of people. They've got to be able to talk, communicate what they're saying to people in a clear way so that people can understand them. They've got to be methodical. Okay, they've got thousands of books to look after. They've got to be organized. They've got to be knowledgeable. Okay, they've got to have a good general knowledge. They've got to be well read. Okay, someone comes to them and asks for a suggestion of a book, they ought to be able to say. And they've got to be good problem solvers. They're going to have problems happening to them every day that they need to be able to sort out and deal with in a calm, effective manner. And they've got to be analytical. Okay, a lot of data to deal with, a lot of things to organize. And they've got to be numerate. Okay, they've got to keep all that catalogue of all those books. They've got to have a system in place so they know where books should be. Good math skills. So overall, that's what we reckon librarians need to be good at. Okay, quite different from what we thought games designers need to be good at. So, question is, which one's better? Librarians or game designers? There's only one way to find out. 5! Right. Okay.
Let's talk about what they really do, shall we?
Yes.
So we're going to take Angry Birds as our game. We're going to look and see what is it that game designers actually involved with when they're designing a game such as this.
Okay, so what a game designer does is they design, implement, and refine game mechanics. Okay, so what are game mechanics? What do I mean by game mechanics? Well, take the Angry Birds catapult. Okay, someone needs to work out how you operate that in the game. So when you put your finger on it, you pull it back, it fires the bird. That's a game mechanic. How much strength does it have? How far does that bird get fired? How do you aim it? You aim it by moving your finger up and down to control the trajectory. Where should it go? What sound effect should it make? What happens if you try and fire it the opposite way? Okay, game designers have to work out all of that stuff. Different types of birds, okay? What are their different strengths? What do they look like? What special effects do they have? When you fire them, do they leave a little trail? What does that trail look like? Okay, all of those sorts of things are to do with the game designer and the game mechanics. Pigs, the enemy in Angry Birds. Where should they be? How should they be placed around the level? How much damage do they need in order to be defeated? Okay, so when something falls on them, what falls on them and it doesn't kill them, and then how much falls on them to kill them? That's something that has to be balanced and refined. Buildings, what could they be made out of? Brick, stone, glass. If it's glass, is it shiny and have no friction? So should stuff slide off it? If so, how much friction or how little friction? Score. You know, something simple as score. How many points do you get for each level? How easy is it to get the top score, or how hard is it? Where does the score go on the screen? All of that stuff is a game designer's decision. Lastly, I mean, even simple stuff like pausing the game, okay? What happens when you press the pause button? Does it indent or does it just stay there? Does the game stop? Can you still see the game moving in the background? Where should the pause button be on the screen? Where can it go so it's most easily accessible with your thumb on a mobile phone? So game design is actually, it's not about being a game player. It's not about having fast reactions. It's about making decisions that create fun games. Do you want me to do this one? Yeah. Okay, so putting game design into practice. Okay, this is a noughts and crosses board. Everybody's seen those. Everybody knows how to play noughts and crosses. The rules are on the left there. Okay, you have noughts, crosses. You take it in turns. You have to get a row of 3. Dead simple. Sometimes when you play, you end up with a stalemate where nobody can win. That happens with noughts and crosses. So everybody knows the rules of noughts and crosses. But a game designer would say, what one rule can I change on that game to make the whole game different? Has anybody got any suggestions how you could change one rule on the game and have a totally different game? Yeah. Say again? Yeah, if you make the board bigger, okay, if you have more squares, that would make a completely different game. Someone over there had one as well. Do you have one? This guy. Say again? Can't hear you. Yeah, nice one. Have another symbol, okay? So we've got noughts and crosses. What if you have triangles as well? So maybe you could place a triangle. Or maybe the idea of the game is to get a stalemate. Okay, so the idea is to not get 3 in a line. You've got a completely different game. So just changing one rule and you end up with a complete different experience. That's what game design is about. It's about looking at those game rules, tweaking them, refining them, altering them, creating them so that you end up with a fun experience.
Okay, so well, we've looked at game designers, we've looked at librarians. Obviously, we found out that being a good game designer is not about how good you are at being able to play games. We get a lot of that. Me and Andrew both teach at Warwickshire College. We get students that we interview, and one of the first things that we ask them is, do you prefer playing games or do you prefer analysing games? And if you want to be a game designer, you really need to be in that second bracket. You need to be analysing the games. Both me and Andrew will be playing games in front of the students. We don't play them. We end up staring at walls, getting shot by people, and the students saying, what are you doing? You're not playing the game. And it's because we're analysing things. We're looking at where the doors are, where the characters are. Where is the level taking us? Where are the lighting? Are we being sent in a certain direction due to the game? That's all the game designer's job.
Yeah, it's kind of a curse, really. If you're interested in game design, then you almost kind of stop enjoying games, because when you play them, you're not playing them to be entertained, you're playing them to break them apart. Look at how they're made. Look at all the mechanics and the way that the game is constructed. Thinking about how you might make it better, or how if you changed one rule, how the game would be totally different. Okay, so just to finalize, this is now what a game designer is about. It's about being an excellent communicator. You've got to be able to work really well with a group of people.
Okay, so having excellent numeracy and literacy skills.
It's about having a wide range of knowledge and experience. You might be a designer working on Angry Birds, but then what if the company you work for say, oh, we want to make a game about samurai? So suddenly you've got to be an expert on samurai. So you've got to get yourself down the library and read all the books you can, watch all the films you can, educate yourself about the area that you're trying to learn about.
Organisation and being methodical. This is one of the key things that we have with our students, making sure that they're hitting deadlines. That's the most important thing with games. You know that you want your game to come out around Christmas time. That means that the game's got to be done way before that, okay? And if the producers turn around and say, oh, actually we want to change this bit of the game, everyone's hands on deck and we've got to make sure that we get that game out at that time. It needs to come out for Christmas, then it has to come out for Christmas. That's it. So time management, being organised, super important.
Being able to solve problems and dealing with them calmly and effectively. People in the industry say that a game only comes out when, amazingly, things stop going wrong. So game development is just about problems. You have them all the time. And how you deal with those, how you react to them, will determine whether your game can get out on time or whether it even gets out at all.
No, take it, Andrew.
Yeah, most of all, a game designer, or being a game designer, is about being able to find fun where there is none. Okay, you've all played games, you've probably enjoyed them and thought that was a really good game. And you might have played a game that you thought was really bad and thought, oh man, that game sucked, that was rubbish. But what is it that's wrong with that game? Okay, as a game designer, you need to be able to work that out and then make the changes. Okay, games aren't intrinsically bad. You need to find out what's wrong with it, tweak it, adjust it, and make it good, make it fun. And that's very hard to do if you're playing the same game 1,000 times over. It stops being fun anyway at that point. So you have to try and make sure that for someone coming to it new, with fresh eyes, that they enjoy it and it's entertaining. Okay, so just to finalize, this is the skills show. These are the sorts of skills you need to be a game designer, okay? English and math skills, super important. Often overlooked, okay? But English and maths are really important for game design. You need to be creative and imaginative. Great communicator. You're going to work with a team of people. You need to have a wide general knowledge. You need to be interested in all sorts of different things. If you, things like physics is a useful science to know if you're being a game designer. Angry Birds is all about physics. Computer science is a good skill as well. If you can program, if you're a computer programmer, that's an excellent ability to have. Good team worker, you need to be tech savvy, you need to follow technology, what's happening in the day-to-day world. You know, new consoles coming out in a couple of weeks. Whole new challenge for game designers. And lastly, you've got to be keen to learn. You know, every 5-6 years, technology changes completely. Only the iPad's been out, what, about 4 years now? 3-4 years? Look how much that's done for the games industry. And you know, so as a game designer, you've got to be able to adapt and change to the technology that constantly bombards you. And you need to be able to adapt to the future of games as well. That's what we've got this lad sitting here for. If any of you have already been down to our stand, you would have seen us using this device down here, which is called the Oculus Rift. Okay, it's a virtual reality headset. Okay, virtual reality has been around a long time, but the Oculus Rift is probably the first device that's actually done it properly. Okay, so if you come by our stand, you can have a go at this. We're going to test it out on this young poor victim here. And you'll be able to see up on the screen what he is looking at, okay? What you'll see is you'll see two different displays because that's the right eye and the left eye of the goggles. What he will see is one whole display. And because you can't see anything else, it really does feel like you are completely in the environment. Is it working?
Ready? Yeah.
Okay, strap him in.
Okay, you're going to switch us over.
Yeah, we need to switch the screen, please.
Okay, you can put your head straight into here, and I'll put this over the top. Stay there. And sit back. go. So you can look all around yourself. Okay.
Okay, so as he moves his head, you'll see that you can see all around himself on the screen. Okay? You're going to tip him?
We'll give a little added interactivity and shake his chair a little bit.
So this is just a very, very early demo level, and this is just an early prototype of the goggles, okay? They're getting better. They're releasing an HD version shortly next year, which will make this a much higher resolution. But the technology works really well. And it's pretty scary. When you go over this hill, if he looks down, we put him in the chair to give it a little bit of extra excitement. Because you're just seeing that in the headset, it really does feel like you are in the game. There's a jump coming up. Hold on to the seat. There he goes. Okay, it's not for everybody. Okay, if you suffer from motion sickness, it can make you feel a little bit queasy. But you know, that is probably, as we see, the future of games.
Cheers, matey.
Thanks very much for that. Round of applause for him, thank you. You turn the sound. Okay, so that's pretty much everything we wanted to say to you. Has anybody got any questions they want to ask? No? Okay, if you want to stop by and have a go at this.
One over there.
Oh, question over there? Sorry? Yeah, you need to come over to our stand over in the 3D, was it the 3D design area? And you'll find us there. You can have a go. Okay, in Hall 2.
Lad.
Yeah, he's got a question over there.
How do you make the games?
Oh, thank you. Okay, thanks very much for your time, folks. Cheers. Goodbye.